Please remember that all the opinions in the show are those of the host and should only be taken as food for thought. We're in no way telling you to do anything. Everything is kept anonymous for the safety of the listeners and no information is shared to anyone else. If you are easily offended by people's opinions or views, then thank you for making it this far, but this is not the podcast for you, so see you later. And please enjoy the rest of the show. First listener, hey guys, I'm going mad, I think. I keep trying to make it work with a girl I've been on and off with for about 5-ish years. It doesn't seem to ever work out. We just split up again, and I'm going to try and stay strong and make it last this time. Do you think it's fate for us always to be like this? 5 years, mate. That's a lot. That's a lot of years wasted when it doesn't fucking work.
Sometimes you just got to say toxic is toxic. And you might love each other and you might actually feel a lot for each other. But when you think about it, some people aren't compatible, like to live together and shit. Like I know loads of couples that argue like fuck, and I'm just like, why are you still together? And they're not happy. Do you know what I mean? I don't think being in a long term relationship, it don't get easier with time; it gets harder. So I don't think it's going to be, if you're arguing 5 years in and you haven't stayed consistently together during them 5 years, you need to take a serious look at whether you actually want to stay together as a couple or not.
Yeah, because it takes work. Right at the beginning, the honeymoon period is like everyone's all happy and stuff like that. And then when that wears off, it's when the work starts and you got to start, finding each other's like what annoys you and sort of like things like that. But I think people that break up and get back together, it's a familiarity. Can't say that word. It's because it's like easy, right? Like you split up and you're single and you're like, oh, the grass isn't greener. I've got to try and find someone else and I can't be bothered. And they're all this and they're all that. And then you're like, oh, I'll just get back with this person because I know what they're like to live with. And then a week or two later, you're like, fuck this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all it is.
And I do think when things get refreshed, especially I've had it in the past with relationships, and I think I'd be the same if me and Charlotte split up. The good times would be remembered if you started chatting to them again. The good times would be remembered, and you'd be like, "Oh, why did we split up?" And then you go through that whole thing, and then 2 weeks in, you're thinking, "This is why we split up because she's just throwing a fucking knife at you or something." And, I don't know. I don't think it's healthy for either of you to keep doing the same cycle. I do think people always are drawn to each other if they have been in a serious relationship together. So I think it's kind of, if you can, if there's no kids and animals involved, or whatever, just cut it off clean and just try and like work on yourself for a little while and have a few rebounds, and it will help. It will help. Don't go into anything serious for at least 6 months.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was thinking about it the other day about previous relationships and stuff like that. And I think to myself, like, the extra years I fucking wasted digging myself in deeper to that relationship, making it harder to get out. And I think myself, like, what's the fucking point? Why'd I wish I'd stuck with my guns and just been like, fuck this. Like, with my ex, we had like a massive breakup and stuff like that. I don't want to go too much details because, here's what it is. But like, she was down south and I was up here. And that would have been easy just to be like, then fuck you then. Like, you're 400 miles away. But I end up being like, oh, no, don't renew the lease on the place you're renting and come to Scotland and then fucking feel guilty for 3 years, after that to stay with her to eventually fucking pot it. And now she's, potting around fucking Scotland and I might bump into her at some point.
Which is always fucking horrible to think.
Yeah. And then like my mum or someone could bump into her and I just think to myself, like, I should have just been like, nah. She would have been stuck down there and I never would have seen her again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think when it comes to things like that, like when you're in the bubble of it, it's hard to see out of it. It's like when we were working in the places we've worked before, it's hard for you to see life outside of what you're doing. And because of that No, you got me fucking saying it.
I can't-
Familiarity.
Familiar, yeah.
Uh,
I can hear the emails coming in already. Bastards.
Because it would feel like a safe place, but like with what happened with Dan, like there wasn't that toxic atmosphere on a day-to-day thing. But I think if people argue too much, it's going to end up getting physical eventually as well, which I always worry about, because there's like guys that I know who misses have hit them. And I think if you hit her back, you're going to prison. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And we've been at barbecues, and she's like knocked 7 bells of shit out of him, and then like one of my mates misses like pulling her off and stuff. I'm looking at them thinking, why are you still together? And they've been longer together than me and Charlotte have, and they're still doing it. Do you know what I mean? I just think there needs to be a point where you need to address it and just be like, right, it's not healthy.
No. I think cut it off, man. Be strong and don't go back, because it's that whole thing as well. Like when you go home, same with like all our neighbor disputes. You go home because that's like, you know, a safe haven. You go home because you're relaxed, so you can do whatever you want to do and get rid of the day that you've had to fucking deal with, and you go home to that. I know people that go home and sit in their car for like half an hour of like peace and just sit on their phone in their car, because they know when they get in, they're just gonna fucking arguments and
like, don't get me wrong, I've done that when in lockdown, when Charlotte was on furlough. I knew she hadn't been out of the house all day, so she would talk loads to me when I got in, and I would just sit in the car. And
yeah, but that's a different situation. That's you two trying to get a moment's peace. Because you're going to go in.
You don't want to be in there.
But it affects everything, right? Like you go to work and you're just thinking about going home and having to deal with arguments. It affects every part of your life. And it affects like your friends around it, like, because they don't want to be around you if you're constantly moaning about arguments or I'm gonna do this. So
I think a bit on a big point as well. I think like if you're away from each other for a little while, you'll start to realise how easy your life can be. Like if you're arguing all the time and on and off all the time, that you're always in the drama. I know some people love dramas, but there's at one point you just need to say, no, I don't need to do this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. So be strong, man. It's been a few weeks since your emails. Hopefully you're still staying strong. If not, send your email in and we'll
go for it again.
Go for it again, yeah. But yeah, if you need any more strength, man, you just email in. You know where we are. And good luck, man. Go get that rebound.